Ascalon the Sword here from Priory the Orange Tree. So right now I am waiting on Native Lady Book Warrior. She's going to join you soon so she can do the book review for Priory the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. So I think she should be coming in pretty soon. So just waiting on her. So, oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry, Ascalon. I had to get my kids ready for bed. I had to do the dishes and clean up the kitchen. So sorry about that. Sorry I kept you waiting, Ascalon. No, it's totally fine. All right. So now that you're here, I guess I'm gonna take off now. Wait. What do you mean you're leaving? Where are you going? Well, I already did like the promotional video on your Twitter, so I thought that I was done. No. Wait, Ascalon. I thought you were gonna do the book review and stick around for the book discussion, right? Yeah, I can't do the book review with you because I gotta go. Do some serious warrior stuff and like slay some dragons. So yeah, I can't stick around for the book review. Sorry about that. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, sure. You are a sword, so yeah. So I guess I'll just talk to you later then. Give me a call. All right. So see you guys later. Later. Hello readers, Kim here with Native Lady Book Warrior, and man, I was kind of bummed out that Ascalon would get to hang out with me and talk about this book with me, but unfortunately I guess it couldn't stay. So okay, right now I'm going to be doing a book review of Samantha Shannon's Priory of the Orange Tree, and I am so pumped to get into this book. So yep, let's get started. Priory the Orange Tree is an epic fantasy novel, and this is a standalone novel by Samantha Shannon, and it follows the perspectives of two men and two women. And it's really clever how she separated all the chapters in this book. It's separated by direction, so like east, west, south, and the four characters are, well, the first two men are Loth and Niclays, and the two females are Ied and Tane. So Tane is actually a dragon rider, and she's part of a region of this world. I think the chapter is east. Tane is in Psyche. So Psyche, they're a country that are dragon riders, and they train to become soldiers and warriors to defend their country. So Ied is a lady in waiting in a queendom called Ennis, and she is a lady in waiting for Queen Sabran the Ninth, Berethanet. So Berethanet is a long line of royalty where the queendom are ruled by the firstborn daughters. Loth is also holds a title within the queendom of Ennis. Niclays is an alchemist, and he is a friend of one of the former high princes of a kingdom called Mentenden. So Niclays was basically banished by Queen Sabran, the current Queen Sabran, to I think like a post or a location somewhere in Psyche. This book was remarkable. The world building alone in this book is a complete epic wonder, and the world building that takes place in terms of the culture, the regions, the religion in this book, also the histories that are the foundation of each country. It doesn't really talk about all of them, but the countries that are talked about and the religions that separate all of these countries. But one thing that all these countries have in common, all these lands, all these kingdoms and queendoms and other places, all fear what they call the Nameless One. So all of these countries and these lands and these peoples have been living in peace for a millennium. So basically 1,000 years, they have not seen the Nameless One, which is a dragon. And the dragon is something that connects them all. Not necessarily religion-wise or anything, but the dragon, the fear of the return of the Nameless One is what connects all the people and the countries, and even the stories about the Nameless One returning is what connects all the people in this book. And it is pretty spectacular. The writing is very detailed, and I very much enjoyed it because of the dominant female perspective that happens in this book. And it is very refreshing. It's very refreshing to see females taking the lead role in a book. And it was awesome. And to see the female warriors, to see the female dragon riders, to see the female intellectuals, the female queens, and the females in leadership, and also other parts of the book. I know that other book reviewers have said that the meat of this book, so the whole beginning, they have said that the beginning of the book is long and it's tedious reading, but I found it to be very, very cool to delve into all of these worlds and to see what they value and what their histories are, because it really, really plays into the better part of the plot in this book. Yeah, so one of the really cool parts that I enjoyed reading about was the Queendom of Virtuedom, which is the Queendom of Innis, that where Ied is located at, and also Queen Sabran IX. And it is a very religious, pious queendom, and they consider all dragons evil, even the ones that Tane develops relationships with, or dragon riders in Psyche develop a relationship with. And those dragons are actually the dragons that are located in Psyche have completely different powers than the dragons that want to destroy all of humanity. And also in Virtuedom, they believe that the Berethnet line continues to have children, or the next queen. As long as that happens, then the Nameless One won't return. Ied is a part of that world, or she's existing in that world, but Ied also has her own story. So she comes from the Priory, which is a group of mages or witches in the south, and they have powers, and they also have a different history compared to the society that Sabran comes from. So it was really awesome, like hearing all these different religions and cultures and peoples and how they relate to each other, what their relationship dynamic was like. And because it really, and those differences really feed into the story, but they also very much feed into the character development of each of the four perspectives. So even this story, it's only looking at four character perspectives, but there's so many more characters in this story, in this book, that develop, and it's really beautiful and it's really amazing. And in the beginning of the book, Samantha Shannon really takes her time, and the pacing is a little bit slow in the beginning because she is trying to lay a foundation of all these different worlds. And in this book, it's very, very beautiful on how all these perspectives intertwine and how they come together and how their relationships are tested and how they grow. What I really enjoyed is how smooth and normal it is to have women and female characters who are leading, who are warriors, who hold really high, powerful positions in their societies, in their peoples, in their kingdoms and queendoms. So that was a really, really awesome thing to find in this book. The romances in this book is something that I really, really enjoyed as well. The female-female romances, the male-male romances that occur in this book don't overtake the plot. it's a part of the character building. It doesn't choke the story. And sometimes I don't really, I don't like it when that happens, when sometimes romance, you have a really good plot going and the romance seems to overpower the plot and become almost the main center of everything. The romances that take place don't overpower and completely take over the characters that are in this book, which I found pretty cool too. So I give this book a 5.0 stars. And many people are gonna freak out because they're gonna be like, what? I remember reading something, I think it was an interview that I watched with Samantha Shannon, and it was something that I very much connected with. She talked about the first time she watched Lord of the Rings. Was it Lord of the Rings? Yeah, I believe she talked about the first time she watched Lord of the Rings. And in that movie, there's a part where Frodo and Arwen, who is the elf, she's a female elf, and they are being chased by the Nazgul, or the ring wraiths, or these basically scary things in hoods that are like chasing them on horses. And there's a part of the movie where she crosses this river and she chants and she says something in her language, and that power that she has, and all of these water horses like attack the Nazgul, and she thought that was really cool because she was a female character, and I connected with that too, and I was like, whoa, that was pretty awesome. And I remember rewinding that over and over, and maybe because it was not typical to see a female character like that who was very powerful and not afraid, and I found that also to be very powerful. And that is why I really enjoyed this book, because of all the female power and the female wonder and the female strength and heart and intellect that is in this book. And it was just so tremendously cool. I recommend this book. You guys should read it. It is very heavy. As you can see, this is a pretty thick book. I'm probably like getting some muscles right now just holding it up. And I believe this book has the same amount of pages as Kingdom of Ash by Sarah Maas. So now I am going to transition. If you have not read this book yet, please do not go any further than this, okay? Because I'm going to be discussing major spoilers. So spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. So don't go any further if you have not read this book. Okay, so now it's time for the book discussion. I'm not going to go too much into the book because, as you can see, this is pretty big. But I think I just wanted to go over my favorite points, things that I didn't really like too much, and then also the ending, because I thought the ending was pretty cool, and then also the major plot twist. Oh my gosh. So one of the things that I really enjoyed about this book is how each of the characters, Tane, Ied, Loth, and Niclays, how not only are they dealing with their own issues, internal struggles, external struggles throughout this entire book, but they are also dealing with how the Nameless One is affecting their countries, their people, and it is a pretty heavy weight that each character has to bear in this book. Another thing that I really enjoyed reading about was each character overcoming their own prejudices so that each country and kingdom and queendom can come together to defeat the Nameless One. So I felt that, kind of like that saying that each person are their own worst enemy, and I felt that a lot in this book. Also, I really enjoyed the female relationship between Ied and Sabran. I think the the slow burn that happens in that relationship, it was very well thought out. And I also liked that it wasn't like really just jump out you instant attraction. That each of those characters, Ied and Sabran, both began to respect the other character. They began to understand especially Ied understanding the pressures and the weights that come with being a queen of her own country. And I felt like it was very realistic, their relationship. So that was one thing that I really, really enjoyed. One of the things that I also enjoyed in this book was the male-male relationship. I mean, it's not current because the relationship that Niclays had with Janart, both of them were friends of the High Prince of Mentenden. And Janart was actually married, and Janart and Niclays had a secret love affair. Well, not really affair, but they actually had a relationship outside Janart's marriage. And that, I think Niclays talking about that relationship and his heartbreak also was a really, really driving force in the kind of character that Niclays was, and why he was so frustrated and angry. And I felt like there was something about Niclays that was very complex, but I really liked how Samantha Shannon wrote his character, because there was some points where he was getting me so very pissed off and frustrated, but it's just because of everything that he has gone through and all the things that and the trials that he has suffered, and his frustration with being cast out of Innis, and all of that just has to build up, I imagine. And then on top of that, not being with the person that you really care about. Niclays, he really makes a huge character arc. And then when he finally gets hope, so in the book, when he finally finds out, oh, okay, because he hates Sabran because of what he's done to him, and he's very, very, very bitter and all of that. So when he finally just comes to terms with certain things, and then Niclays remembers that Janart has a daughter, and he thinks, okay, well, maybe I can learn to change my life around so that I can be a better friend to her. And then he finds out that she's dead, and that just kills me. But I think at the end of the book, Shannon really does him justice, and she beautifully concludes and gives him a little bit of peace. And that really settled some really uncomfortable anxiety that I had inside me. So that was pretty cool too. I love that Niclays takes that responsibility, and the decisions that he has made, owns them, and then he just simply makes the choice to move on and to want to build a better life for himself and to want to be happy. So many people thought there was going to be this epic battle and that it should have been part of the entire book, but I'm kind of glad I mean, even though there was some action in this book, I'm glad it didn't overpower the entire book, because I felt like a lot of the relationship building that takes place from the beginning of the book, you have all these countries that are separated, and they almost despise one another because of their political, cultural, and religious differences. But when they realize they're about to be obliterated by this magical dragon that is out to kill everyone, then you have no other choice than to lay aside. I mean, if you're a bigger person and you want to make changes and you really put the priority of your peoples and wanting to survive ahead of everything else, and then you have no choice but to come together and to try to work together to continue to survive. Also, the plot twist. Oh, thank you, Samantha Shannon, for the plot twist. So, as you know, if you've read the book, that Virtudum believes that Gallion Berethinet is this saint, right? He's this saint figure who established the Queendom of Ennis of Virtudom, and he is also the first of the Breathnut line, and Queen Sabran, the ninth, is a descendant of Galleon, and they think that he's this awesome character. He walks on water, and later on they find out from another mage that he isn't, that their whole religious world totally gets flipped on its head, and you realize that something that they have had such strong beliefs in, and that this saint person, somebody basically they worshipped, and their whole thinking and their leadership evolves around is just basically one big lie. And I was like, especially when they find out that a mage who is someone that they fear, I think they called her Witch of the Woods, and they find out that she did not only take care and raise Galleon, but she also tricked him into being with her. And that is the line that Sabran descends from, and it's crazy to see that happen. Not only, and then you see how big of a deal religion is to a person like Loth and Sabran, and that they get upset when they hear all of these other histories and all of these other stories in the other countries of how their country began, and you understand how much that means to them. But you also see the character development, which I loved in Sabran, who was willing to not just argue and say, no, that's not right, but she really analyzes it. She questions her faith, and she does it so she can lead her people to a better future, and so they could survive. So I loved that about Sabran. And Tane was another character that I really enjoyed. I mean, she was just the typical awesome, buff, brave, courageous warrior woman in this book. So I enjoyed that as well. Okay, some of the things that I didn't like about this book. I would have loved to read more about the kingdom of the unceasing emperor. I thought he was really interesting, and his perspective on political intrigue and power was pretty cool. So that's something that I very much enjoyed. Another thing that I didn't really enjoy about this book was probably how heavy it was. Oh my gosh, this could probably be used as a doorstop on the Breakfast Club. Remember I don't know what he is, the dean or the principal, and he's trying to keep the door open and it keeps slamming shut. So I think this book could have kept that door open. And I wanted to own this book. I didn't want to read this on Kindle, even though there was a time on Kindle where this was only $1, but I'm very, very happy to have gotten the hardback, because look at it. Oh my gosh, this thing is pretty beautiful. And it's spectacular looking, and orange is my favorite color, so take a look at that. So how lucky am I? The ending of this book, everybody was, or not everybody, I'm not going to say everybody, but the ending of this book, some people and some book reviewers didn't appreciate it because Ied didn't end up with Sabran, or Sabran didn't go with Ied. But me, I very, very much appreciated that. I mean, these two women are very, very powerful, and they have so much to give their countries, and they have so much to teach and so much to look forward to in making a better world for the peoples. And they both have very pivotal and significant roles in where they come from. So when somebody said, what? 10 years later? For me, I found that to be very realistic, because sometimes you do have to put your individual needs sometimes on the back burner. If there are some things that are very, very important to you, and having a better world, a safer world, a world where you want other people to learn from you because you have so much to give. And I just found that very cool, and I found that very, 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 very leadership-like. So yeah, so that concludes my book discussion, and there is so much more I wish to get into, especially when it comes to the legends in this book, but I want to keep this video not short, but I don't want it to drag on and on and on. So maybe this is something I could discuss later on in the future, or I'm probably going to be comparing a lot of books to this now. So thank you, Samantha Shannon, for this book. So everyone, I appreciate you guys viewing the video. I hope that you enjoyed Ascalon the Sword. I mean, even though Ascalon couldn't stick around for this book review and book discussion, I mean, what can you do, right? So everyone, I just want to say, see you next time. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. Don't forget to wash your hands, wear a mask, all that good stuff. And I will see you next time. So you guys have a great day, morning, afternoon, and evening. And I shall see you soon. Bye.